Well, hello people of Defend the House and welcome back to another big Roundup podcast. This one's a little different. There hasn't been like a huge amount of new AAA releases. We do have one, as you can see from the title. We will be talking about the new Ratchet and Clank game on the PlayStation 5. But also, a little thing called E3 happened. Or
sort of.
It's more like a just general period of time now, rather than just focusing on E3 itself. There's like 14 different conferences run by 8 different companies, 16 different shows all over the place. So I think we're just gonna more talk about, and I guess review, not E3, but like the period of announcements, the last like month. 3 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever. You guys know what we mean. For the second segment of E3, we will be bringing on our friend Ben, who is a part of our podcast. If you don't know, we have a podcast, Defend the Podcast, on all the usual platforms, iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, etc. Pretty much everywhere, I think, where podcasts are. And that's just kind of where we chat about everything that isn't, the usual big AAA releases, everything else that fills in the gaps.
Yeah, it's sort of a hybrid episode. We've got like a podcast chat more for the second half, because E3, it's significant. It's significant, and there really wasn't one last year. It was, because everything was so ever changing last year, which is fine. But we definitely got more of a bit more of a focused thing this year. There was definitely like a couple of days of game announcements, relatively speaking.
There was.
Yeah, and then we have the Ratchet chat. Rat chat. A rat chat.
Ratchet and chat.
Yeah.
Okay. So Ratchet and Clank. Rift Apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should probably say that I am a huge Ratchet and Clank fan.
Mm-hmm.
It is probably the IP, the franchise, whatever, that I have stuck with the longest. I'm just trying to think, just in case I'm incorrect, like back to the PlayStation 2 days. I can't even think about which IPs have survived that long and not just completely shit the bed some way.
You say Halo, I guess, is 20 years this year, and Ratchet is 20 years next year at some point. So
yeah, Halo.
We'll maybe talk about. I don't know.
That's true.
Stuck with / have remained excited by Halo maybe is not. But I mean,
I would say Halo counts. I would say Halo.
Yeah,
counts.
I would say so too. I think to not say that would be lying.
I think so. There's only a few left.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to go down the Halo rabbit hole right now. But a lot of franchises along the way have just they pivoted, gaming changes. I understand Halo is one that's obviously switched companies, and it's just the reason why we were talking a little bit negative about Halo is just because it is it's not in its glory days anymore. Some franchises can't keep up.
Ratchet is been going for 20 years being made by the same studio.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of anything that is doing that still, that has still is putting out new games in a franchise from the same studio. And
I think the strangest thing about Ratchet, and this is kind of jumping into the review, it's surprising to me how close it is to the first game in the franchise 20 years ago. Obviously, the format has evolved. If you've seen anything about Rift Apart? I don't know why I can't remember the subtitle.
Have
you seen anything about the game? You probably know the gimmick. Shut up, would you?
Yes, there's a gimmick. Sorry, please.
You've probably seen the gimmick and the technology, but when it comes to the basic format of the game, I was quite surprised how untouched the format of Ratchet and Clank still is. It really feels like an old PlayStation 2 game at times, but spruced up and shined up to an absolute T. which maybe...
I think it makes a lot of sense that it is still a very simple, familiar formula, because 2016's Ratchet was like, you know, the most like bare bones Ratchet, right? And I think was sort of a series sort of reboot in a way, and I would consider Rift Apart like the first real Ratchet game in this what I would consider like a rebooting of the series, and I think they have to ramp back up into the craziness, you know, that we got to by the time a Crack in Time was coming out, you know.
Yeah.
And I think Rift Apart is a good first step after like the super basic 2016 game. You have like a really well made, really familiar Ratchet game that is sort of easing people back into the franchise, or introducing them. I think a lot of people, this will be their first Ratchet game. And then I would hope to see them start to get crazier and crazier with each sequel, which I'm sure they will.
Yeah. I have to do my best not to be biased in this review.
Right.
I'm going to try my best, because I do have criticisms, which we will get to. But, you know, there is a lot of sentimentality. I think before the game came out, we were talking on Discord, and there really is nothing left from my childhood, IP-wise, that hasn't been tarnished, and that has just continued to slowly excel.
Decay.
Yeah. Well, everything else is decay. I'm saying that there isn't anything left that has not decayed.
Oh, sure. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just very, you know, it's very heartwarming to see that out of everything, from fucking Harry Potter to Lord of the Rings, everything has, like, stumbled and tripped, Fallout, Mass Effect, all these things that we loved. And it's, like, it's so weird that, for me, the one IP that just seems to have survived is Ratchet and Clank. It's, like, this platformer / shooter
it's so
arcade
simple
thing.
It's just like a shooter with some jumping in it, you know,
like you couldn't even imagine a world where, like, I don't know, Jak and Daxter or Sly Cooper is one of the biggest things, and maybe it's going a bit too far to say Ratchet and Clank is one of the biggest things, but it feels like it's slowly starting to get to a place where it could be considered like among the top of, you know, some of the big AAA IPs, and that's amazing. That's amazing. Like, outside of the game itself, just like Ratchet and Clank coming to this position, being on top of this pile, it makes my old, horrible heart beat once again.
It makes me happy for you. It makes me happy because I was sort of a more recent Ratchet convert. I had played a little bit, you know, over the years, but the 2016 game was like, oh, yeah, the 2016 game basically made me go like, all right, it's time for me to go back and play these games because they're great. And I played through probably like the majority of the series over the like subsequent year.
Yeah.
After that, I don't know if I beat. I don't think I beat any of the games except for A Crack in Time. I probably played like, I don't know, 70% of several of them.
There was a lot of them now. Like a lot of
there
the
are
games.
a lot, and I played like the big ones like Tools of Destruction, Up Your Arsenal, Crack in Time. And I unfortunately missed Quest for Booty, which I wish I had played because there's actually a lot of the pirate stuff in this game. But it makes me happy that something so simple and pure has survived without... It has never lost its identity. It's never really changed. And now it is being developed with like the full force of the Sony first party engine.
Such a weird choice. Like, out of all the culprits I would have imagined to last, I never would have predicted Ratchet and Clank. And it also had like a bit of a rough spot where I don't want to say it was like it fell on its face, but it got put into what I would call spin-off purgatory, where it becomes one of those like Sonic franchises where they just make spin-offs and like weird changes of the format made by B teams. I think that was back on the PlayStation 3, and it just had...
It was like A Crack in Time, I think, was 2010.
Yeah.
And then there was sort of... It got long in the tooth after Crack in Time. They put out maybe like a co-op game, right?
Yeah,
and then
there was like All for One,
All for One, and then Into the Nexus was the last mainline entry in the timeline, in the canon, and no one seemed to really care about that, which makes sense, because that was like the 13th Ratchet game in 12 years, you know, and I think they were also doing Vita or PSP games, and like if you go to the Ratchet wiki page, there's a lot of Ratchet and Clank games that have come out.
I think I played the PSP game.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I think I did.
I think it was smart of them to just put it to bed for quite a while, honestly. It was 3 years from Into the Nexus to the 2016 game, and then, you know, almost 5 years since 2016 game. Or I think it has been a full 5 years. And yeah, it was smart of them to just cool their jets with Ratchet and then slowly reintroduce people to it, and then they got bought by Sony, and Sony was like, "Hey, what if we gave you all the money to make this video game?" Should we back up a little bit?
Where to?
To say that Rift Apart is a great fucking video game.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I don't necessarily... It's not perfect, as we'll say. There are just a couple of little things in it that stand out to me because everything else in it is so well put together. And I do think I don't think it's the best Ratchet game. I still think A Crack in Time is the king.
I agree.
But also, it was like the most consistently happy a game has made me in quite a while.
Yeah.
Like in probably a couple of years.
It's a great time for this type of game.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's the perfect early launch, like early generation video game as well. Like it's so good for an early tech showcase, and it's that familiar, comfy design, but just when it's well packaged like that, it's so hard to beat.
Yeah. It's just so easygoing, and it's got a reasonably chunky runtime if you're being thorough with all the collectibles. It feels beefy, and we should probably transition into the production values.
Sure.
Because, you know, graphics aren't everything. No. But it really does help elevate things when they're done to a certain degree. And, you know, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is one of the craziest looking games I think I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It reaches levels of, like, Pixar vibrancy and fidelity at 60 frames per second with ray tracing. It's just ridiculous. It feels like the future. It feels illegal. It feels euphoric. It's unbelievably gorgeous.
It's definitely the most next-gen game to date, like by a long ways. That also ties into some of the Rift stuff as well, which we'll get to. But yeah, just on a pure visual level, it is ridiculous. And then they got it running at 60 FPS with ray tracing on. Dude. And you know, they really lower the resolution a lot, but when you're playing it on a TV, you can't. I couldn't notice.
I mean, I didn't even try the other modes, to be honest. I just stuck to the 60 RTX.
Yeah, it's really amazing, and it's the cutscenes really stand out, especially as well. A lot of it is like animation in the cutscenes. I think there's so much good, like, hand animated cartoony animation in the cutscenes that pop even more because of the tech. It's just such a great and their art style, their art is just on point. It's just the perfect, like, all the tech meeting all of the art, you know, the right blend of great tech, great art, great animation.
Yes.
Color, like, oh my god, the color palette is so good.
It's like a lot going on per planet. It's quite busy, but not in a way that's like ugly to look at. There's just so many layers of things happening in that game. Yeah.
And also when you start shooting and there's just particle effects absolutely everywhere. And the planet variety is good visually.
Yeah, it is.
And it's something that I have been sort of cognizant of as we've gotten further into the sort of 4K era since, you know, maybe 2016, 2017 with the Pro coming out. It's that, like, YouTube and video quality really doesn't sell these things.
Yeah.
Because there's just like so much fine-grained detail now that is just cannot come through, even in the highest quality, 4K YouTube thing. And yeah, when you see it all on your TV, it is magnificent.
There's nothing else really like it.
No.
You quickly mentioned on like animation quality. I feel like that's just something I want to highlight a little bit. I think this game does such a great job of like character design, the personality of everything, giving what's that word where there's a word for when you like create a personality out of something that shouldn't like have one. It's like personalization or something. I can't remember what it's called. Personify. But like the first instance is you land this planet and there's like these little robots and they almost look a little bit like trash cans. But if you just hang around and listen to them, they're having like these little conversations, and even like the throwaway lines in the background were making me giggle.
They're really good.
It's just like everything in this game. If you just like stop and smell the roses and look at the NPCs, they're like saying little quips and everything's
There's just personality everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah. It's just like it's funny as well. This game like made me laugh pretty consistently. And video game comedy can be like pretty obnoxious, especially for like 30-year-olds like us. It's we don't like Borderlands anymore. I get like the 15-year-olds find that stuff funny, but you don't make me laugh in video games very often because I'm grumpy. But Ratchet and Clank broke through that, and I was giggling and having a good time and just enjoying the world and looking at stuff happening.
I think honestly the biggest chunk of notes, or the thing that I wanted to most highlight with the notes that I took, is how good the character stuff is in the game. Yeah. And like you said, there's so many great little personality things in all of the just NPCs that are just around the world, and like you said, lots of funny writing. And all of it is missable. If you just haul ass, you're not going to hear any of it. The little robots are great. The Morts are just the best. I love that they have the like Midwestern, almost Fargo accent. It just cracks me up to no end. But I think the biggest win for the game is the writing and characters of the main cast for me. I like Ratchet and Clank, obviously we know them, they're very well established and they're very well written and acted still, and I mean, the animation also really brings them to life in a way that we haven't had before. And they're great, and they do a really good job of adding some depth to them. There's some guilt on Clank's part, for fucking causing all the dimension stuff, and Ratchet is sort of having some self-doubt about himself living up to like Lombax standards, and that stuff's all really good. But I think the real like winner of this game is Rivet, who is amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned character design. Her character design is like, I don't know what, I'm trying to think of like other examples where you just look at a character and you're like, wow, that's a literally perfect character design. It's flawless. Wow, they did it. But it was so smart to introduce Rivet, and then Kit is the Clank equivalent in the alternate dimension. And it was so clever to introduce these new characters, the alternate dimension versions of Ratchet and Clank, because it freshens it up really nicely. It adds a lot more dynamic to the story stuff. And then the game has that same really good writing that the Spider-Man games have, that their last two Spider-Man games, especially the base 2018 Spider-Man game where, we talked about it, and it's like the finale of that Spider-Man game is like Doc Ock and Peter Parker weeping, and they're just like so emotional over the fact that they're like betraying each other. And obviously this is not getting to that. It's not that melodramatic, but that same sort of humanity is there with all the writing in the character stuff in this game, and it really stood out, I think, to me.
I think it was a bit
surprised.
Different than usual, because obviously, I can't remember the stories in Ratchet and Clank games. I've been playing them across 20 years. But and it was kind of interesting for Rivet and Kit to have like a pretty difficult relationship. I think it was probably quite a clever thing to do, since they are, the dimensional counterparts. to Ratchet and Clank, so you just make the assumption that they're going to be, best buddies and the new team, but obviously we shouldn't spoil it. The stories aren't that important in Ratchet and Clank, but it's still nice. It's not like that. It's a bit different.
You could see, like, they did the first part of that sort of clash that the two characters had, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. But then when they reveal the other part, you're like, oh, that makes perfect sense. That's such a clever twist to give these characters some drama between them. But yeah, the nice thing about this game is that I really like that all the characters have this sort of self-doubt or like low self-confidence or whatever it is, and that they all, I mean, the basically the core message of the game is like, hey, you're awesome just the way you are, and your friends are cool as well. And that is just, it's so, like, that can be, that sort of storytelling thing can, when done other ways, can be really, I don't know, just sort of...
like roll your eyes type.
Yeah, saccharine, I think is the right word, where it's like overly sweet and sentimental or things like that, and it's just sort of, ugh. But it's so just, they balance it just perfectly in this. And it at the end of when the credits started to roll, I was like, oh, these guys are all so great. I can't wait to play like 30 more games with these 4 characters. Yeah. And
I think Rivet and Kit probably got some well-needed flaws. There was definitely times in the story where they both were quite, like, almost difficult and frustrating, and their characters were a little bit aggravating at points. And I can't really remember being annoyed at Ratchet or Clank at any time in the franchise. Again, it's been a long time, but it was just nice to have a bit more, depth in these characters. And I guess like there's no way they can get rid of them, right? It has to be a cast of 4 characters now.
Yeah.
And it'd be interesting to see how they do it in the future, because
yeah, and I really like the splitting up Clank and Ratchet, and having Clank be with Rivet for like half the game, and then they switch and Ratchet and Clank are back together, and then Kit and Rivet are together. It was really very smart. And I have to imagine, I mean, there's pretty blatant sequel set up. The main part of the Ratchet story that's been going for 20 years is still unsolved. And so they'll definitely be doing more. I have to imagine there's at least like 2 or 3 more games coming out with this sort of, and that's exciting because the characters are great, and splitting them up, mixing them together, having the game be 50-50. Actually, I'd say it's probably more like 60% Rivet, which I was totally fine with.
Yeah.
It's a very clever twist. And also I have a special note written down to acknowledge voice actors are amazing. Just as like a concept, voice actors can be pretty amazing, but holy shit, the voice acting in this game is so good.
Yeah.
Ratchet and Clank, same 2 people, still great. I looked up, I didn't realize Dr. Nefarious, that voice actor also played Andrew Ryan back in the day.
Whoa, that's weird.
Like, wow, that's quite the swing.
Yeah.
Kit is voiced by, I can't remember her name, but she was the Grace Walker from Wolfenstein 2, the leader of the resistance in New York City.
Okay, that's weird.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
And then Rivet is Jennifer Hale, who is, Jennifer Hale is a legend, but also she is unrecognizable in this game. And if people don't know who Jennifer Hale is, but you've played Mass Effect, Jennifer Hale is FemShep. She is female shepherd.
That's so cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and like,
all right.
Jennifer Hale is an absolute pro and is incredible as female shepherd throughout the Mass Effect series, especially Renegade female shepherd, who is a fucking psychopath, and she is so good in it. But she plays Rivet, and you would never ever know that's the same voice. She is just so good at that character.
Wow.
And unrecognizable. And anyways, it's not very often that like voice acting stands out in a good way. It's most of the time just like you just don't think about it, right? Like, it's fine. It's there. Like, even Resident Evil 8, it was just like, these characters are good, the voice actors do a good job, you just don't really think about it. But I had to look up like some of these characters, and when I found out who they had played elsewhere, it was shocking.
Yeah, wow. Diverse.
Yeah. Amazing, yeah. And yeah, so the character, I think it was, I don't know. I wonder if it was like a bit of a risk to bring in new characters and give them so much screen time. I don't know.
Well, they played it safe because it's literally the dimensional counterpart of the same characters. So
yes,
it's like the same tone.
And also, like, there have been 20 Ratchet and Clank games, right? So, like, yeah. But it was a total... I didn't expect her to be such a big part of the game. I wasn't really sure. I mean, we also both stayed pretty dark on this pre-release. But I was surprised to see how much screen time she gets. And also, I was more surprised at just how fantastic the new characters are. And the storytelling in general. Yeah. It was really very heartwarming and wonderful from start to finish.
Yeah, it was, man.
Yeah.
It was. I guess since we talked about the visuals, maybe it makes sense to talk about the gimmick, which is using that crazy PlayStation 5 SSD power to switch between dimensions on the fly. I will say that this part is a little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, I agree.
Mostly because, I'm sure you know where this is going, it isn't utilized very frequently.
No.
It is a hard thing to criticize because there is one standout planet, one standout level, which I don't think is that much of a spoiler to describe it.
It was in pre-release footage, I believe, as well, yeah.
There's one planet where in one dimension it is obliterated, and in another dimension it is not, but it is on its way to the same fate. But it's one of the only missions, or maybe the only mission, where you have direct control, in certain points anyway. When it comes to switching between the dimensions, you can do it on the fly. You hit a giant crystal, and the level changes instantly. And holy shit, it's amazing. I don't know about you, but when I first got to that crystal, the first crystal which switches between the planets, I was sat there for like a minute just whacking that thing and going ping, ping, ping.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, it was so cool. But
it's insane.
It is kind of the only major instance of this novelty, the dimensional switching. You're mostly just stuck in the same dimension for most of the game, and it's using the technology as like portals a lot of the time, and during very on-rail cinematic sequences, which are still very impressive and cool. But I just kind of wanted to see a bit more of it. And I understand why. Obviously, the game designers have to make double the environments every single time they want to instigate one of these cool dimension-switching moments. So,
and at least right now, they also have to know when that load switch is going to happen, right? Like, giving you freedom to just do it whenever would have probably been... I would be shocked if we don't get there by this generation, but early on, it seems like they need to know when the level load is gonna happen, so that the game can prepare for it.
But they still could have done more of the, like, you know, they had the fixed crystals, so there's a moment where you have full control over switching dimensions. And even much more moments like that would have been appreciated. I think, going back to the very beginning of the review, I said that I was quite surprised how the format hadn't changed, and there's a little bit of a negative spin to that, because a lot of the game does just feel like another Ratchet and Clank game, which is fine. I'm a big fan of the franchise, but when you see the tech at the beginning, the beginning, by the way, is fucking spectacular. It's very like Naughty Dog. It's unbelievable.
It's insane.
It's like it's very on rails, but just it's a visual feast.
I think the last hour is also quite good, but the first hour is nuts. Yeah.
So, like, I get it. Who knows? Maybe they had more plans, but COVID. I don't know. It's just a lot of work on their end. Well, and I think
it's just like I said. It's just early. You know, the hardware is still. This is right. Like, this game is coming out 6 months into this generation. For 6 months out, this game is insane.
Yeah.
You know, give them 3 years to make the next Ratchet game, and I bet that they can do some. Because like they improved the load times. From the state of play like 2 months ago to launch, they improved those even further. There was a longer load when they showed the game in March or April or whatever, which is crazy. But yeah, I would say I definitely agree. The Rift stuff, the dimensional Rift stuff, is definitely not as integrated as I would have liked. I think, the opening on rail, it's impressive. Every time it happens, it's impressive.
Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
And the on rail stuff is great. It gets used once or twice in boss fights and in fun ways. I wish it was used at the end. In the end boss fight, I was really surprised the end boss fight
visually it is.
Yes, it is. It is, you're right. Yeah, but not like mechanically or even changing the world around you.
Gotcha.
And having the rifts, these portals into like the little pocket dimensions where you're doing your little side platformy things, it's still impressive. Every time I walk through one of those, it's just like, that's cool.
It is.
But yeah, and obviously the what is it, Blizar Prime, I think, planet is amazing, and it's the best use of that throughout the game. Well, and they do use it in another level later on, where you're switching between two planets of the same in different states.
Is that when you're being chased by that monster? Or am I getting that confused?
Yeah, it's in the one where you go underwater, and but it's not as integrated in that level. It's just sort of it's a little more peripheral. Yeah, it would have been nice to have seen it used more. I think about this is why I think it's not as good as a Crack in Time, is because a Crack in Time has a gimmick, which is time manipulation, and that gimmick is integrated much more interestingly into the content, specifically through the Clank puzzles.
Yeah,
where you're creating the different time versions of Clank, which is really great and super well done in that game. And in this, it's just the rifts are collapsing. A couple of times you go through some crazy, amazing set pieces. And more or less, though, it's just sort of window dressing, which is sort of unfortunate. But
for me, the biggest missed opportunity and biggest miss for just the overall game is actually the Clank puzzle sections.
Yes.
I didn't like them this time around. I didn't think they were good.
They're not difficult.
I just didn't think they were interesting, and it felt weird to not integrate the rift shifting mechanics when, the Clank puzzles take place in their own little instances, in these like little rooms. And it just felt like a no-brainer. And like going back to A Crack in Time, the best part about, well, not the best part, but one of the best parts is the Clank puzzles that integrate the concept of time travel. And my brain was just like, okay, when it's Clank time, it's going to be rift puzzles. And it's not. It's like a weird Lemmings. I don't know. It is. It wasn't very good. That was probably my biggest disappointment, I'd say.
Yeah, I would agree as well, because I those Crack in Time Clank puzzles are still amazing to this day. Yeah. They're so clever, and I mean, thankfully there's only like what, 3, 4 of the Clank puzzles, but yeah, they're just not very interesting. It's just like, what you have to do immediately, and it's one of those puzzles where the worst types of puzzles are when you know what you have to do, but you just have to spend like 4 minutes doing it, and you're just like, I grab this, put this here, yada yada yada. I agree. I was disappointed by those, but also like not,
it's like a change of pace, isn't it? It's not a huge deal.
Yeah. I mean, like, any negatives that come up in this are countered by the fact that, like, I was literally smiling for like 80% of the time playing this game. So, they're pretty minor in the grand scheme of things. But I do agree. And that was what made me think it's not the best Ratchet game. If they had made amazing Dimensional Rift puzzles, I think it would have been closer competition to A Crack in Time. But it just... the Clank puzzles are a letdown, which is unfortunate.
I do have a few more complaints, but I just want to say...
Sure, let's just get them all out of the way.
I'm going to say a few more compliments.
Or compliments, sure, yeah. Go for it.
I think the shooting feels the best in this game that it has ever felt in the entire franchise, and I don't know why. It might be like the depth of field stuff that happens when you aim... I was going to say down the scopes, but you know what I mean, when you hold down L2. Maybe it's just like the visuals, the DualSense. I don't know what it is, but the shooting in Rift Apart it's the best shooting in any Ratchet game so far, in my opinion. I think it just feels great. And
100%.
It's never really been the highlight of Ratchet games. It's kind of a lot of auto aim weapons that you just... Mostly in old school Ratchet, you're just holding down R2 and jumping around and trying not to be hit.
Yes.
But I don't know. This one felt really good. It felt like I was pointing and aiming and thinking about it. What's called the Negatron Collider is one of the best guns in the entire franchise, especially when it lasts for like 5 seconds and you're lining up multiple enemies and sweeping it across the screen. Just great gun design, great gun feel, and it just looks amazing. It looks amazing to fight in this game.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up as a positive, like the other biggest point I would say for the game is just the combat is so much better than it's ever been, and several of the reasons why it feels so much better is because there is a lot of movement tech that you get in this that you've never had before. Like I don't even know if there was a sprint in the old games, because I played a little bit of 2016 just before, like the night of, and there was no sprint in 2016, which was weird.
Yeah.
Probably the most important addition is the dodge.
Yeah.
The dodge is new to this and goes a long ways. Sprint goes a long ways. You have the little sort of rift grapple hook, basically. That is handy.
Yeah, it is fun.
You have the hover boots, which you can use if you want to quickly sort of zip around.
Those are great. From
the midpoint. Just way more mobility throughout the game. That makes it feel so much better. And then obviously, yes, the DualSense continues to be awesome. The haptics, the triggers, everything feels great. And then also the sound design is really good with the weapons. Some of the weapons sound like just super dangerous. There's just like a bassiness to some of them that is kind of shocking a little bit in a way that I really like.
I think my favorite weapons in the entire franchise is the weapons that basically apply some sort of like visual status effect on enemies. Like in the 2016 one, there was a gun which made every enemy in the game dance. And Disco
the Groovitron and the Sheepinator as well, where it turned everyone into sheep.
And I just love when you find the equivalent in the new game. There's one that turns them into like shrubbery, vegetation, and it freezes them. And there's one that turns them into a giant ice cube. And it's so exciting to get those guns and just wait for a boss fight. I was so excited when I got to the end boss. I was like, I'm going to turn him into an ice cube. And then a bush, because I know that they would have programmed it in. They're the best guns. Yeah, I love that. I
didn't use those I really didn't use them much until I was doing New Game Plus stuff and just like messing around in New Game Plus. And also they have like written and recorded all sorts of dialogue for when you do those to like mini bosses. One of those big like robots you fight a couple of times. I ice cubed him and he was like, "Please free me," or he was just like, "Let me out, I want to fight," like something like that, and it was really funny.
It's so good. I love that stuff. I like putting the big dinosaur in the ice cube. It's great.
The arsenal is pretty good. I like. There have been so many Ratchet games and also Sunset Overdrive that all the guns from Insomniac I don't know which game had which guns at this point.
Oh yeah.
So, the arsenal here is very good. And
I feel like there's a lot more. No, you go.
I do wish regarding the weapons that the final, upgrade that you get when you max them out, I wish that some of them were more interesting. Like the minigun.
Yeah.
And the Negatron Collider have really cool ones where when you kill, like the minigun one, when you kill someone, a black hole void appears briefly and causes AoE damage. And that's really cool. And I wish some of the other Tier 5 upgrades were more transformative.
It feels weirdly understated now. It used to be a very big deal back in the day. They would almost completely transform into something different.
But I think that's part of this sort of slow reboot that they're doing, right? They have to build back up to that. But it was a little disappointing because I remember like a crack in time, some of the guns just get so stupid.
Yeah.
But that's, the arsenal was very fun to play with.
One thing I really like it when game developers, instead of problem solving, they just go, fuck it, it's a video game, who cares?
Yes.
I really like that all the progress between the weapons just switches between Ratchet and Rivet with no explanation. It doesn't even make any sense.
Well, when she gets to the first, when she gets to her home planet, Mrs. Zircon is there, and she's like, wait a sec, Rivet's like, wait, when did these get added to my account? And Miss Zircon's like, well, your friend back on the other planet
I didn't think I heard that.
Gave you... Yeah, there's just like one throwaway line where they're basically just saying, yeah, fuck it, it's a video game. Like, who cares?
You don't want to level them up twice. Just give it to both of them. No.
And the movement abilities, like Ratchet gets his hover boots, but then Rivet also gets them. Yeah. Because, like, come on, it's just... No one wants to do that.
Yeah, and no one cares about, like, context.
No.
You want them all.
Yeah, very smart of them to do that, for sure.
Oh my god, I love the Mr. Zircon gun introductions. He does his...
They're so funny.
Oh my god, they're like... They're unbearable to listen to, but in a way which is so self-aware that I was laughing every time. By the end of the introduction to a weapon, he is screaming so loud that I've had to exit multiple ones of them where he is just screaming, man.
Yeah.
And I'm just laughing like, shut the fuck up, dude. I love
that's Zircon Jr. or whatever.
Oh, God. It's annoying and obnoxious, but in like a self-aware, funny way that I really liked.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. All the gun intros are hilarious. They're so much better than they were. I mean, they've always had fun with those, but they're fantastic in this.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna say regarding weapons and also the Rift mechanic. I do think the Rhino 8 is pretty fucking awesome, and it's the one thing. Did you level that thing up fully, Joe?
Oh no.
You should.
Okay, I will.
Because one of the things that can fall through the rift is pretty fucking cool.
Okay.
It was the thing I hinted at when we were talking a week ago, and I said I saw something on Twitter. I'm like, I don't know if this is real. I don't think it is, but if it is, that's pretty fucking amazing.
All right.
It was real, and it's just an inanimate thing that can fall through. There's a few different things that can fall through those portals. Let's just say that.
Yeah, yeah. I think I got to like level 3 because I just beat the game and that's all I've done so far. Right,
yeah. You should get it to level 5, yeah.
I will say that I didn't like that the Rhino was free.
Well, you had to, yeah. Are they? It's normally like really expensive once you get the blueprint, right? I think.
Yeah, it's usually the thing that like makes you want to go forward in New Game Plus. It's usually like the last thing you get, and it's like the carrot on the string for New Game Plus, and just getting it for free. Like I beat the game, and I'm just like, well, I got everything. I've got the golden bolts. I got all the collectibles. And I've got the Rhino, so I don't know. I will play New Game Plus, but the Rhino is usually the one thing that you go back for and you grind out, and just getting it, I don't know. It just felt.
Well, the New Game Plus is pretty decent in this. You do get do you get the pixelizer when you started the game?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I think that is by default then. But there is one new gun when you start New Game Plus. It's the bouncer, the old bouncing grenade thing that splits up into smaller grenades every time it hits. Yeah. You do get that in New Game Plus, and then all the guns have the they go from level 5 being the max to level 10 being the max. Okay. But I didn't see any new perks or anything for the weapons when they hit level 10, which is unfortunate. But as always, Ratchet has good New Game Plus. I love that all the unlocks come through. I love that you can just use cheats and there's no penalties because who cares? That stuff has always been great and it's still good here. But yeah, the Rhino, I think the Rhino 8 is, again, part of that simplification / rebooting. You have to... The Rhino 8 is very cool, and I think they wanted people to get it more easily than perhaps in the past.
You know me, I'm just like I'm an old school Ratchet man, and I just...
Yeah.
They changed the thing I know, I don't like it. I think we've kind of understated the good variation in level design. I think Ratchet has always had pretty good variation in like gameplay per planet. And Rift Apart is the exact same. Every planet has like a little gimmick, or plays out a little differently, which makes for, just great pacing. It's visually different. Every planet's got its own little story, characters, personality. This game's very easy to keep playing for maybe too long.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The planets, some of them are really linear, like the Fixer planet, which was fine. But I enjoyed the what is it? 2 planets that are much more like open world almost. Like
I think it's just one, isn't it?
Or maybe it is just the one.
You come back to it at night.
I can't remember.
I think maybe a few times.
Yeah, I liked that. It was an interesting sort of mix-up, and I'll be curious to see what if they expand on that, or I don't know. I mean, obviously Ratchet's appeal is its linearity, but it was nice to sort of just be able to bomb around on that planet and skate around. The hover boots feel great, and it was a nice sort of change of pace to just spend like quite a decent chunk of time on that one planet.
Yeah,
but that does lead to the couple of quality of life things. I think that ties into it.
I was
well.
just
so
about to segue. I think the biggest problem with the game, which isn't that significant because you can just get around it by changing the way you play once you realize how the game is designed, but it will I reckon this might be quite prevalent for a lot of people depending on how you play the game. But this game does not do a very good job of letting you know when you will be coming back to a planet or area later on. And what this leads to is every planet has a checklist of collectibles, the golden bolts, these little robot things, etc. And, you know, they unlock stuff. They eventually lead to the rhino, so you want them all. It's a fun and satisfying game to 100%, so you'll be scouting around looking for them. And sometimes you just cannot get to them until like 5 hours later, and the game does not tell you this. And specifically for me, the worst instance was the second planet, Rivet's home planet. I can't remember the name, like Sargasso or something.
Yeah.
Because they have these little beetles, which you can jump on, you slap them on the ass, and then they speed off. And they're really fun. I like those little beetles. But they can also run on water. The entire map is water. And there's just a very strange sense of... That planet is very weird because you can freely skim around on this bug, but it feels like you're not supposed to. But at that point of that level, there are countless uncharted islands on your map visible for you to see. So I think a lot of players will instinctively try to go to the islands on the bugs. And what will happen is the game will just very jankily not function correctly. You'll hit invisible walls, or you'll just be skating around in circles, or you'll be like me and you'll just get lost like out of bounds in like untextured trees. And
oh wow.
It led to just some very, like, it felt like very untested, because I just can't see them doing a testing. I just can't imagine this not coming up, where at least one person would be inquisitive and just want to explore on the bugs and look around, especially when the game is built around collecting these things. Yeah. But it feels like if you do anything out of order in this game, the game doesn't really know what to do. And in previous entries, it was very clear. Ratchet has always had Metroidvania traits in it, where you'd get like gravity boots, the Gravitron boots, or whatever they're called. And in the level design, it would be very clear. You would see a path, and it would, you wouldn't be able to access it, and you would know that you would need the gravity boots. It was always visually clear when you could not go to an area. But in Rift Apart, there's quite a few times where that is not as clear. For me, it was the second island, and it was the open area, the open world type place, where I cleared that entire map on foot with rocket boots because I was looking for one golden bolt. And it's just a little bit frustrating. It wasted my time, and it just felt bad. It just felt very strange. I also, this could be just like how I play, but there was like multiple times in the game where I like visually thought there was somewhere I could go, and I couldn't. I can't think of like any specific examples, but there were times where there was just a lot of janky moments for me, and it was specifically because I was trying to explore. When I was on the specific path like that was intended, the game obviously was completely fine. But I was just trying to explore because there's collectibles in the game, and there's just stuff that, in my opinion, visually looks like there would be a collectible there, and you just like clumsily fall or end up somewhere where you're not supposed to be. Like I would do a lot of janky climbing, and it just led to a lot of, again, janky moments which felt bad. And it's kind of self-inflicted, because if I'd just been patient, you would have got to the point where, you unlock a dragon, you fly around, and you eventually get to the spot where the last bolt is. But I didn't know that. And it just led to these shitty moments, I'll be honest. They were low points for me.
I think I got lucky to an extent. The weird thing with that is it only happens twice, where they don't tell you you're going to get this other thing or you'll come back here. Because all the other planets, you can get everything on your first visit, but except for Sargasso and the Savali planet. And I got lucky with Savali and that golden bolt in that I just didn't realize I hadn't gotten it. I had thought I had 100% of that planet, and my eyes just read 2 out of 3 as 2 out of 2 or 3 out of 3 or whatever it was. And so I just moved on. And then you asked me when we were talking last week, and I looked it up and I was like, oh, I missed a bolt. Fuck. And then I read, oh, it comes back later in the story. Okay, weird. I think the solution to that one is just like, just don't say, just say you've gotten 2 out of 2 bolts, and then when you revisit the planet, update the map to say 3. Also because, honestly, the golden, like all the collectibles are very easy to find as well. None of them are particularly obtuse. I definitely didn't explore to the extent that you were exploring mainly because of that, because I was just, it seemed like all of them were easy to find, and when I couldn't find one, I just would move on, knowing that I'll be able to find it easier later, probably. The one that did bug me though was the Trudy flying section with the stones that you're collecting for her.
Oh yeah.
Once you get on the dragon and you're flying around, there's all those stones on the rooftops. And I spent like 15 minutes trying to figure out how to get them. And so that was very similar to you, where I'm like flying the dragon into them, and it's really jank. I'm trying to like land the dragon on them or slow her down. Really jank. I'm trying to jump off, and none of it was working. And it does. It feels bad. It just feels like untested and sort of they didn't think about it. And the reality is, when you get to 40 or whatever, 35 of those stones, she just suddenly can start breathing fire, and that lets you get all of the stones off the rooftops. Right. But they didn't say that at all. And like they should have just not spawned those in, or I don't know. It just feels like an easy workaround to have that be avoided. And honestly, you know, those are some of the polished things that I could maybe chalk up to COVID related stuff, right? Like it's hard to play test a game when you can't bring in tons of people to your studio and play test the game, and you have to do it all remotely. I don't even know how game testing is happening right now. I know there were some articles last year that were saying like, yo, it's fucking not easy to test games right now, which makes sense. So thankfully I wasn't like horribly bothered or afflicted by that. And it was very early on, and then all the other planets were super linear and I was able to get to them. But yeah, there were a few times like that stick out that are unfortunate. And then there are just some bugs and glitches that are in there that, again, you know, I think it's easy to just say, hey, COVID happened, it's forgivable. And I'm sure that I would even imagine that the Golden Bolt and the Trudy things get patched and updated, because Insomniac's very good about sticking with their games for months afterwards. Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me to see some updates that fix that problem to some extent. But that and the little like getting stuck. I got stuck on the in the Miss Zircon menus a couple times.
Oh, do you? I
was stuck in a combat state once across multiple planets. Or across just the one planet, the Blizar Prime planet. There was like a shark in the lava somewhere that I had walked past and hadn't killed in the game. I was just stuck in combat state, so everyone was running away from me, and I couldn't leave. I couldn't interact with Miss Zircon. You know, a few little things like that. A few times where I jumped somewhere or felt like I should have landed and just fell. And those stand out just because everything else is so well made, and it's a shame that those little issues are there. But I think it is also more forgivable just in general for games. I don't know. I sort of after last year, I've sort of approached everything being like, man, I hope this works, and if it doesn't, I get it. But yeah, and we were lucky. Like most of the other things we played this year have been super polished. And I mean, Ratchet is super polished as well. But these little tiny things stand out. It
feels like quite similar to the stuff that we experienced in Returnal. Just like these small, you know, little things. Yeah. Did you have any crashes? Because I did.
No, I've never had a PlayStation. Oh no, I had Returnal crash twice on me, and that's the only time I've had a PlayStation 5 game crash.
Yeah, I had 4 crashes with Ratchet.
Wow.
Hard crashes. And twice it said my save was corrupted.
Jesus.
It backed it up from the cloud, but I had some rough stuff with Ratchet.
I think I did see them tweet that that's, if not already patched, it's like very imminently being fixed. I had heard people crashing, but no, I would say generally pretty lucky when it comes to game issues. I seem to manage to avoid most of them, but yeah, geez, 4 is a lot for a game that is to 100%, maybe 14 hours, right?
Yeah.
I think my playthrough was 14 hours. That was 100%. That's
the
a lot.
autosave is, the autosave's very good. Yeah. I didn't lose much progress, but I also found a T-pose. I found 1 T-pose in the game.
Oh, I think I found it in photo mode. Rivet in Sargasso right on launch day. I think they patched it like that night. If you went into photo mode on Sargasso, Rivet would just be in a permanent T-pose in photo mode, which was very funny. Yeah. That's a shame. I'm especially sort of sad to hear that you had a particularly janky time with it. It's sort of a shame.
Yeah. It was more towards the beginning of the game. Again, maybe there was a patch midway through, which I didn't even notice.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But yeah, the beginning was, I had crashes. I was having a little bit of, I don't want to say trouble with the first 2 planets. Again, it's kind of self-inflicted. I should have just made a better choice and assumption and walked away.
Yeah, that's sort of what I ended up doing.
It was more like the map stuff, seeing these uncharted islands that really misled me and made me think, I'm like, they wouldn't chart the island unless you go there. But then I'd go close with the bug and they'd be empty, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And
the weirdest one was the
dragon
that little like platform, sort of like I don't know, it kind of looks like an oil derrick sort of that you come back to.
Yeah.
When and it turns out you just like run over top of it basically when you're doing the big Sargasso return to Sargasso
Don't let me
mission.
see that before I go to it, because I'm just like, I was circling it on the bug. Like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. Yeah, and I tried to like jump off the bug and like dash and double jump to land on it, and it was weird. Yeah. I think maybe just not even spawning that stuff. Like, it wouldn't make sense for it to not be there, but just don't spawn it in. I think maybe would have been smarter, or put a giant, I don't know, flame on it or something that's, makes it seem like you can't go there, and they repair it. The Morts repair it when you come back. I don't know. Yeah, little things like that got in the way. And I agree, they did happen. All of my bugs and issues were early on, and then the second half of the game was smooth sailing.
Yeah, true. But yeah, apart from that, dude, the Clank puzzles were not for me. And there was unfortunately some jankiness. Some of it self-inflicted, but in my defense, I feel like the visual guidance could have been improved in some areas. But there's no way that stuff, ruined the experience. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is just a joy. It really is just a joy. And it's just so good to see this franchise alive and kicking, seeing the player base expand and more people jump on. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. And like you said, probably like in a couple of months, a few of these things will be patched up, and it will be a shiny gem, or a shiny bolt of a video game. Yes,
yeah. I agree completely. It warms the heart to see Ratchet doing so well, to see it back, to know that we're definitely going to get a couple more PS5 games, sequels.
I imagine the Dimension stuff sticks with the format, right? Because they have the Dimensionator. All the characters will probably be together. So
I reckon the next game really ramps up the dimensional usage as a gimmick.
That would be cool.
Because, by the time that comes out, they'll have years of PS5 dev experience, I would imagine. Mm-hmm. They've already shipped 2 friggin' games on the PS5, the Madman.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
It's just happiness from Ratchet. It was just a delightful experience from start to finish. It's sort of corny, but it came out at the perfect time where, this sort of slow healing return to normal is beginning, right? And vaccines are rolling and all these things, and the sun is shining, and then Ratchet's out and it's like, hi. Ratchet's the only hug I've gotten in a year and a half. And it wasn't even a real hug, but it felt like one.
Yeah, and Insomniac have almost become the new Naughty Dog when it comes to technology and visuals.
and fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That should be the end of the review right there.
Yeah.
Insomniac, the New Kings of Fun.
Sure.
Good game, man. It's good. It's good.
It was great, yeah.
So we started with Summer Geoff Fest, as we usually do. Or at least the precedent's been set from last year with Big Geoff, the Dorito Pope himself, who actually follows the Twitter account, which is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're connected with Geoff. But anyway,
have we started? Have we just gone?
No, Joe, please get us in here.
I thought there was gonna. Oh, okay, my bad. I thought he was gonna do something else, like a separate recording intro type thing, and we were just actually jumping into it legitimately.
No, I think it's no.
This is it. This is it now, Ben. You fucking.
No,
you
I'm
just
embarrassed
fucked it.
now. Oh man.
So this is Ben, by the way. This is our podcast guy, Ben. Welcome onto the channel, Ben. You fucking ruined the entire video, dude.
The podcast police are storming down into my basement, and they're gonna give me the.
Re-record the entire Ratchet chat now.
They're gonna give me the. They're gonna give me. They're gonna give me a big wedgie. No, there's uneditable. That's not how these things. Nothing gets edited on this channel.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, I am Ben, and I frequent the Defend the Podcast, which you can find wherever podcasts are sold. It's monthly, kind of every 4 weeks or so. We just kind of talk about what we've been playing, and the guys kind of get a chance to talk about things not myths related. So, if you're,
that's always nice.
Yeah, so if you're curious about kind of the men behind the myths per se, you can check out the Defend the Podcasts wherever podcasts are sold.
Yeah, I think so. I can't keep up with all the places podcasts show up now, but I think we're fine.
I'm trying to get off. I'm trying to get away from Spotify, but we're on Pocket Casts. We're everywhere.
I don't know.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
So,
if you're not, it's not real. Then if we're not there,
we're on your iPhone and we're on your Android, and if you're on something else, we're there too. But
yeah.
So we're going to talk about sort of E3.
Yeah, weird year.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously. Another weird year.
Yeah, this one definitely felt like a hybrid of the before and the current times in a way that did not feel like the future, which is interesting.
I feel like what we usually do in our friend group is we get together, we get on Discord, we share the screen, and we watch the streams together. I feel like every time we did it this year, nothing happened, and everything good happened when we weren't doing it.
Really?
Well, what happened that was awesome? Like, aside from the Elden Ring thing, like, I don't know, right? Like, was that it?
We weren't together for the Battlefield stuff.
Battlefield and Horizon, I guess. But
we weren't together for Horizon. We weren't together for Geoff's show. And then my microphone broke for the end of Nintendo, which wasn't the biggest thing, but, I still wasn't there for it.
True.
But
Microsoft was the only, traditional press conference, though, that happened this year. And, I mean, we were there for that. But
we'll get to it. Should we just start, like Ben said, with Geoff's Funhouse?
Yeah, the Keighley show.
I mean,
was awful.
Even happened before the end of it? I think I might have blacked out.
Yeah.
The only thing I have written down that was not Elden Ring was the Death Stranding director's cut, and that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So which
we don't know anything about.
they opened the show with, they did the Tiny Tina's Wonderlands.
Please don't go over all this.
I'm not. I'm literally just bullet points and anything relevant otherwise. The Metal Slug thing. But yeah, really just a
bunch of garbage.
The Death Stranding thing was a big surprise. Jeff Goldblum selling Evolution 2 was also pretty wild. But yeah.
I don't think he knew what he was talking about. I'm not even sure if he knew what the game was.
Which one?
Jeff.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Kojima, which also is accurate.
Yeah, what the hell was Kojima talking about as well?
I don't know. He talked about 9/11 twice and then announced a director's cut for Death Stranding. So
he's been big inspired by the global shutdown. That's what I parsed from it, and what I found it quite endearing what he had to say, and then Geoff just kept tying it back to well, I can't wait to see how it all ties back to your art, and it's oh man, anyway, it was very, and then we get that trailer.
Yeah,
we get that trailer. And then we get that trailer. Yeah.
What's a director's cut? What does that mean?
Well, in film, it's when the studio has final say, and the theatrical cut is not what the director wanted. And then, like, 10 years later, someone gives him money and says, all right, here you go. You can assemble the director's cut. People want it. We know we fucked up. And it's maybe not always the definitive version, but, you know, missing content. The director's vision is completed to their satisfaction. In video games, that doesn't happen. And then Death Stranding...
Isn't Kojima an auteur? Like, didn't he do everything?
Had... Like, Death Stranding was a fucking mess because he had complete creative control of that game, and it showed. So what... I don't know what a director's cut of Death Stranding means. If it was a director's cut of MGS5, you know, that would make sense. But Death Stranding was 20 hours too long already. I don't know what a director's cut is.
Yeah, I am definitely fascinated by what it could be. I'm gotta be different gameplay implications or something.
We have no idea. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a real possibility that it's just, hey, we put haptics in the game, which will be awesome, and brought the PC DLC we did into the game.
Right, it was
that's
DLC?
it. Well, there was just like weird items that they added to the PC version, and they also added like hacking stuff, and like they did a bunch of weird other game tie-ins for Death Stranding on PC. But it's not major. It's not story or anything. It's just like a few gameplay things, to my knowledge. But I don't know. You can't expect normalcy or being able to predict what a Kojima thing is. So
yeah.
I mean, we don't know anything about it. They said we're going to get more soon, which probably to me means at the Sony event that will inevitably happen. But it's baffling.
Especially like the Metal Gear tie-ins in the trailer. That was very strange.
Yeah.
It's so
big time.
It's so weird. I have no idea.
Kojima's an asshole. But I
love it.
I kind of never get bored of him. And I kind of always want to see everything he's doing, and I kind of want to play everything he makes forever.
I mean, I'm sure.
And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the director's cut adds like 20 hours of story content.
I just don't want it to be like a Persona 5 Royale where you have to play the whole game again, you know?
Yeah, that would be unfortunate.
I hope it, I'm sure it'll look I'm sure they'll up the presets, and it's going to look really nice on PS5.
Yeah.
Or would I play that game again?
The PC version was really, really impressive. 60 FPS makes that game feel, or higher FPS makes that game feel so good as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've talked really for too long about this thing, which was a 3-minute trailer of Norman Reedus hiding in a Metal Gear box.
That's what Kojima wants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it is.
Nothing else other than Elden Ring, really. I mean, I'm not a big Evil Dead guy, so that's not really nothing. Back for Blood, where it's you know what it is, but Elden Ring.
Elden Ring, it was the best surprise of E3. I never in a million years would I have bet that Geoff got Elden Ring for his shitty show.
Especially because of all the memeing that maybe I might have instigated in our Discord channel that morning.
But it's the Game Awards, man. Elden Ring at the Game Awards. The reason like everyone asked for it was mostly a little bit ironic, right? Like as a joke.
I think so, yeah.
He is a wizard.
Well, I'm trying to think here. He did have the first ever teaser trailer for
the Xbox.
Sekiro.
Oh, did he?
Sekiro. Yeah, when it was just it was the main guy, not the main character, but like the blacksmith fellow.
Oh, that first CGI trailer thing?
Yeah, and he was like using like tinkering with the weird bone arm thing, right that Mr. Sekiro has, and it just said "Shadows die twice," and that was at Geoff's Game Awards, and that fueled like 10 months of speculation that it was Bloodborne 2, and then turned out to be Sekiro.
Who does Geoff know over at From Software? Because they obviously like him a lot, or maybe they just hate the Electronic Expo. ESA, I don't know.
But like. Good on Geoff and that show for getting fucking Elden Ring.
He
was so hyped about it. There was so much like buffoonery behind the scenes on our end about that. It's never going to be there. And it's been 2 years since a CG announcement trailer.
I feel like the trailer of Elden Ring is what E3 is all about. And it's how it's like a lost art. Game reveals are a lost art. I mean, like, we haven't got to Microsoft yet, but like, it's just like Starfield is like the way that no one wants it to go down. And just like these CGI trailers that go on for years and years and years. And Elden Ring was just like, we're making it. It's coming out. And then nothing. And then a giant gameplay reel with a release date. This is what it
looks like,
This is exactly what it is. And there's a lot in that trailer as well. Like, if you slow down on that trailer, there is so much content.
Yeah, I couldn't believe what was unfolding in front of my eyes as the trailer went on. It, like, just as far as open world traversal and just scope.
The horse can double jump.
Yeah. Scale walls. And they can
The gamification of the horse is fascinating.
Yes.
Where they're just like, it can just be summoned in midair. There's no fall damage, it looks like, with it. It can double jump. It can run up walls. It's like, what is
fun choices? Like, man.
Oh my god, it's so exciting.
It looked like a video game, and it made me very excited.
There are 2 great tragedies that have happened in the last year. One was not being in a voice call with Joe for Elden Ring, and the other was not being in a voice call with Joe for Harry Potter last year.
Come on, man! It's Geoff's show. Like, how are we supposed to know?
I know. How are we supposed to know?
That's what I was saying at the beginning.
Even though it was obvious for all of his teases that, of course, he was going to have it there.
It was not
the
obvious.
Strategic standing in front of all the letters except for ER. I mean, come on.
I can't believe that was real. Can't believe it.
But yeah, I wish I had heard your excitement. I mean, it came through, in text form decently.
Oh my god, dude, I was losing my mind.
It was a pretty baller trailer, as they say.
Such a good trailer.
Man, I could not believe it. Someone who's never played a fun game, that game looks nuts.
When Microsoft inevitably has, theoretically, games to show, like Fable and things like that were CGI trailers. They need to do that. Like, if Fable wasn't here this year, it'll be there next year. They need to show a 5-minute gameplay trailer and be like, motherfuckers, it's out in October. Like,
it doesn't happen in E3. It just doesn't happen anymore.
No, it doesn't seem to happen anymore.
Like, the lead up to E3 had the best stuff. Like, a little bit before we had the Dying Light 2 reveal.
Right, which was great.
Where, again, another company who had stayed so silent, people were starting to speculate that the game was dead.
And
then they just came out, they showed like 5 minutes of it, and again, release date. They dropped it.
Yeah.
And then Battlefield, a lot of whispers, didn't show anything. Boom, here's a big thing, and even more E3. And then Elden Ring.
And Horizon as well.
Yeah.
With like a 15-minute gameplay chunk. No date, but, still. You look at that and you're like, yep, that's a video game.
Yeah.
I know what this, Whereas, it just... Elden Ring, that game looks fascinating.
One thing I do want to call it that I did like from the Summer Game Fest that we skipped over was Sable. I thought the Japanese breakfast performance the Sable showing was really good. And I got to play that demo.
Like good-looking indies. Good-looking indies.
They put a demo out for it on Xbox, and I played some of it, and that's going to be really interesting. It's going to be an interesting game. So
yeah, I did not play that demo, but that game's been floating around for years, and it just continued. It looks really neat.
Yeah.
So.
There were definitely a few indie things here and there, but it is hard to keep track of.
Oh god, yeah.
The indie market just in general at this point.
Something's really got to be striking to leave an impression, and it's hard.
If I hear about it more than once,
yeah,
then maybe there's something to it, because so many of these games just I will never hear anyone talk about ever again, which is sort of tragic, but also. What?
It's just
you can't play everything. It's just so much.
It's harder too when we're about to reap the Breath of the Wild inspired indie games where there's open world stamina based traversal, and I think we're gonna see a wave of this. So it's gonna be harder for these indie games to stand out when a lot of them are gonna be chasing that I think that vibe. So I don't know.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Xbox.
Yeah, the Geoff show sucked. except for the fact that it didn't, and it had the best surprise of the entire year. So I don't know. I'm conflicted, and I'll watch it next
Jameson,
year.
that's what it's all about. A terrible show.
Yeah, I'm a Geoff believer. Yeah.
With a good finale. That's all you can ask for.
I followed him for that show on Twitter, and then as soon as it ended, I unfollowed him. It was worth it.
How dare you? He follows us.
Yeah. Hi, Geoff. Hi, avid listener, Geoff Keighley.
Yeah, fellow Canadian.
He loves to remind you that, doesn't he? God, God Almighty. Microsoft has did one too, didn't they?
Yeah, Microsoft was the only one that did a real show.
Yeah, they.
I would call, even though Microsoft's maybe didn't have the highest Elden Ring like highs, that was a video game ass E3 press conference.
Yeah. Everything got some
show.
time. Yeah, it was pretty balanced across the board, and maybe to its own detriment. But yeah, we saw Halo, and we saw Starfield, and we saw Outer Worlds 2, big hit. No, I'm just joking. We gotta look at Halo, and we did get a glimpse at Starfield, and we can talk about the dates situation.
Should we leave Halo for after we've talked about all the other Microsoft things? Because I feel like this chat is a bunch of just oh, that was this was that, yada yada yada, and then 40 minutes of us talking about the Halo Infinite and the state of Halo.
So Halo notwithstanding, we got Stalker 2 got showed off.
Stalker 2 was really the best trailer of the show.
Yeah, big. That had a big atmosphere right out of the gate.
Good little surprise.
It was a very good trailer. I love that it was in Russian.
Mm-hmm.
For such a main event, Microsoft style, just a 5-minute weird slow trailer all in Russian is perfect. That's perfect.
It's nice to have that alongside Metro now, just having Metro around. That's kind of kept that quiet European shooter looter ambiance around for the last few years.
It's kept the weirdos engaged in that genre.
Definitely. Yeah.
The has expanded it as well a lot, because the Stalker games I think were quite small hardcore PC player base, and that's it, whereas Metro has definitely broken out more wide, which is cool. And probably will help Stalker 2 out, providing that game lands well. It looks amazing.
Yes.
Looks awesome.
I'd be really interested to see what that, just a little bit more what it is, though. It was nice getting a real glimpse of it. But we
and a release date.
Yeah, April next year, which is
next April.
It really,
Jesus.
When you think about April, it really feels like it's a year away, but it's less than 9 months. It's.
Is it though?
I don't know math.
I don't know either. April feels like quite a way.
It is less than a year. 10 months.
Yeah, it is less than a year. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's gonna be right around the corner. And Game Pass. And Game
a
Pass
lot
was
of
everywhere.
Game Pass in that show.
Game Pass was
everywhere. I think it was 30 games and 27 of them were on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Which is pretty amazing. I think Battlefield wasn't, and then I guess 2 others somewhere were not on Game Pass.
Amazing.
Game Pass,
good showing for
is impressive.
Service.
That's gonna have a crazy year.
Yeah. I'm very it's gonna be, especially I'm thinking of November, because they'll have Forza Horizon 5 and Halo.
Woo!
Halo Infinite campaign on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, well, that's what I imagine. That's why I'm I don't.
It has to be, right? Because what else? If the other, I don't know. Yep. Anyways, can't talk about Halo yet. Save it.
Battlefield, though, is they have not dropped the ball yet here, which is just, oh my gosh. Are we really? Is Battlefield going to be Game of the Year? What the hell is going on here? My word, DICE. I can't believe this.
Battlefield looks so good that I think it might have ruined the Halo moment for me. Again, I know we're trying to save Halo, but I can't help it. The whole show is about Halo for me. But Battlefield is the transformative comeback that I think every fan wants a franchise to do when it has a bit of a rough spot.
Yeah. And, without actually being a major shakeup, right? You look at it, you're yep, that's Battlefield. And it looks fucking awesome.
But it looks huge and expansive, and it looks like people have been working on it for years and years and years.
And the trailers there's an energy to them that comes through.
A confidence.
There's an excitement to those trailers that you're the people making this are excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I am excited.
Me too. They want us to experience what we're seeing in these trailers. You really get that vibe. They really want that to be your experience. And it's just nuts. It's nuts because it looks like it's around every corner. It's going to be bonkers. That game looks
It felt like
silly.
they were saying, look at this shit. Look at this shit.
Look at
what we did.
Yeah.
I think the thing that stood out most in that trailer is the physics on the vehicles, which is something they actually... Maybe I just noticed it more because I had seen in, like, I don't know, when they announced the game a couple weeks back, they were like, one of their talking points was, hey, we have a completely new physics engine for the game, and especially for the vehicles. So I was sort of looking for that here, and it's really, if you go back and look, like, the physics on all the vehicles look really spot on. Like, even when the ATV hits the tail of the helicopter before it explodes, it's just... And the Osprey being pulled into the tornado while it's sitting on the ground.
That was so good.
Look, like, that stuff looks super
drag
impressive.
And everything, yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The Humvee doing the ramp and exploding or whatever midair. Like, all that stuff looks super awesome.
God, we're going to do so much shit.
Leads me to believe that, like, it won't be an insta-kill if you get wrapped up in a tornado. Like, there'll be enough kind of... You'll probably spiral around that thing enough.
Probably take
chip
damage. Like, take some damage over time, yeah.
Man, that rules. I cannot wait for that friggin' game.
I feel like if they show in the trailer someone, riding a car into the tornado, getting out of it, and wingsuiting away, I have to figure you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Battlefield.
It is weird to think that Battlefield is probably my most anticipated game for the rest of the year. I didn't think they could do it because the last several Battlefield and Battlefront games have not been good for me. But here we are. They nailed it. They look like they're nailing it. Everything they've said and shown sounds like they really get it this time, which is exciting.
It does.
I agree. Yeah.
And we'll see more at the EA event in a month. I don't know why they are doing it so late in the summer, but whatever.
It's a bunch of things in July for some reason.
A bunch of things right at the end of July, which is a full month from now. I mean, Jesus.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Other notables: Forza Horizon 5.
Oof.
Oh
Yeah.
my, sheesh. Cannot wait for that one. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
That was another thing where it's like, am I really going to get excited for another Forza Horizon?
Yeah,
I think.
And there were lots of rumors about Mexico, and I was like, does Mexico, is that going to be interesting? And then they showed it, I was like, yes, okay. I'm very excited for this game.
Yeah.
It's only going to be my second one that I played. So.
Right.
Same, yeah.
I'm a newbie.
It'll be my... Well, I didn't. I think I've only played 4, like 2, 3, 4.
Right.
I did. I played. Went back and played a little of 1 after 2 came out. But yeah, it's weird to feel so excited for like some of my most anticipated until Horizon. With Horizon not having a date, it's like I'm not locking it in mentally yet. But Battlefield and Forza Horizon 5 are like the 2 things I'm maybe most looking forward to this fall, which is weird.
Yeah, likewise.
Is it weird?
No. I think something that I wanted to bring up for all of this E3 stuff is like sort of related to the cross-gen rant we had in the last Defend the Podcast episode, which is like everything we've seen, everything coming out this year and into early next year is cross-gen. And I never once thought about that while watching the E3 stuff. Like Elden Ring looks great. Forza looks great. Battlefield looks great. Like all these things are just, they're iterative sequels in a lot of ways, or they're familiar. In Elden Ring's case, it's we know what it's FromSoft doing their thing, but they're mixing things up more. Yeah. It doesn't really matter when you're making a sequel. It doesn't really matter if it's cross-gen or not right now when it looks as good as it does, not just visually, but just like there's enthusiasm and excitement behind the development of these like 5th Forza game and God only knows how many 20th Battlefield game. And that can still be exciting. And I'm very surprised and excited by the rest of this year. Looks way better than I ever thought it would.
And with whatever Halo's going to be in there as well. It's going to be fascinating, I think, top to bottom.
It is. Yeah.
I am looking forward to Shredders. Which we saw at the Microsoft show as well.
Shredders,
snowboarding
game.
Oh, the snowboarding thing.
Yeah, and adjacent to that, Riders Republic from Ubisoft did look interesting as well.
Yeah,
which we saw after the fact that
obviously we're skipping ahead, but we're not going to talk about anything at Ubisoft. So
No.
Yeah, I don't even know what day that happened on.
No, that's why I just want to say, while talking about Shredders, Riders Republic just seemed like a good, but yeah, those two games look fun.
It does.
Yeah.
I think it's like 100 people just biking around, I assume crashing into each other. It looks like it's got a good spirit to it. I'm sure it will be monetized to all hell, but, you know, if it's fun, it's fun.
Yeah. Big, yeah, it's I big SSX vibes for sure, and I'm frothing for the bit of anything like that.
I feel like that genre has been waiting for like a big multiplayer thing. I feel like that genre of Trials, wherever that franchise has been leading to when it comes to influencing other games, I feel like that space has been missing like a really giant multiplayer thing. So I'm excited. I hope it turns out well.
That Phantom of the Abyss game seems adjacent to that in a way, where it's multiple people pursuing one course in the
I'm not sure about that game.
Yeah,
I don't know what is that game.
It's like
the new Temple Run thing.
Yeah, first person PC. Anyway, we're getting out of the sauce here, but that Redfall game though, the fact that they let Arcane Austin close out the show.
Yeah, close
with
the show.
which it gives me big Redfall 4-player cooperative vampire fighting game. I guess I get big Fortnite Save the World energy from.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It gives me and I don't know if it's gonna just end up being like a 4-player cooperative survival based builder type.
No, it's not. It's
hero shooter.
It's a single player open world. Immersive shooter that can be played in co-op with up to 4 people. That's what they said, like in the press release or whatever.
Okay.
But you know, like we said, I think Joe, you mentioned it. It's like the Suicide Squad game from last year. It's a CG trailer. I don't know what this looks like.
Yeah.
Until we see it.
Yeah. 100%.
But I trust Arcane, so
yeah.
Me too.
I think it's cool. If a little weird, but cool and kind of awesome to close the Microsoft show with a new Arcane IP, because Arcane deserves all the attention.
Yeah, give them the flowers.
They got a lot of unwanted attention from people who thought it was going to be Elder Scrolls 6.
God, that cracked me up. Jesus Christ. Where do these people get on these trains? Like, what the fuck?
I don't know.
It's so baffling.
They want to be right about the big one.
Yeah, I don't know. Redfall, like, we'll see. I look forward to seeing gameplay. It's the Dishonored people. There's a lot of very smart people that worked on those Dishonored games that are working on this.
Yeah.
It'll probably be really good.
Yeah.
I'm just going out on a whim here, based on the last 12 years of Arcane games or whatever it is. It'll probably be pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I keep trying to fall back on. And which is, like I say, it's great that they gave them that opportunity. Big spot for them at the end of the show, and
weird spot though, isn't it weird?
Halo it is Starfield, weird. It is weird for sure. It's a lot of trust. Game. Yeah,
it is weird.
A lot of trust.
We haven't really talked about Starfield yet because there isn't really much to say.
Yeah,
but it's weird that we're still not seeing anything from that game, and it has a release
date.
Like,
it's not out for another year and a half. So I mean, like, is it? It's maybe nothing. Not.
I
don't know. Yeah, I think I saw someone say that like maybe the reason that they even had this Starfield thing was just to like come out and say like it's exclusive to Xbox. Stop these conversations. It's coming out only on Xbox. We paid $7.5 billion. It's not coming out on the PlayStation 5, nor is Elder Scrolls. I feel like, and I kind of agree with that. Like that maybe is why they had that there.
That might make sense. Yeah.
But it is weird to also give the game a date and not show a single fucking
How can they show nothing and know the day it's going to be finished? How can you do that?
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around.
That is not coming out in November 2022. No way.
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea.
Or it'll be a broken piece of shit. Who knows?
Well, it will be.
I like to think
even if they ship it in 2025, it'll still be a broken piece of shit because it's a Bethesda game.
I like to think
they don't have working ladders in the game. Todd Howard literally gives an interview the day of the E3 show, and this nerd that's interviewing him, God bless them, is like, "Hey, ladders in your Elder Scrolls games, what's up with those? How, like, that's famously, there's never been ladders in any Bethesda game because your engine is too shit to figure out how to have a player climb up 5 feet. Will Starfield have ladders? Todd Howard. No, video games are hard.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you fucking kidding? That's literally the only thing I know about Starfield is that they've spent like 7 years making a new engine or a 2.0 engine, and it's not going to have ladders, functioning ladders. Like, what the fuck are they doing over there?
There's no way you can fly a spaceship in that game. There's no way.
Unbelievable.
There's no gravity in that game. There's going to be nothing.
And stop asking me about it.
I can't wait for Starfield.
Oh, man.
I would love for Starfield to be awesome, but it's Bethesda, and I just have no faith in them.
I imagine we'll see it in November. Just like around, the 10-year anniversary of Skyrim. I reckon we'll get like the thanks for buying Skyrim 12 times. Here's a sneak peek at Starfield.
That'd be nice.
I would be surprised if we see anything until next year.
God. Well,
it's hard to say.
That'd be interesting.
I think you said it, Joe, when we were doing the thing, when we were talking over it, where it's like the artwork for the Microsoft show was 50% Starfield, 50% Halo. And I get it, marketing is all about lying, but it opened the show and you're like, oh, they're gonna show Starfield, and it was just the most nothing teaser ever made.
It's in space.
Like it might as well have been the CG logo announcement that we got 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Because there was just nothing there.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was like you said in engine, didn't it? So maybe it was supposed to be like
and I mean you sort of get like a tiny sense of the aesthetic and the sort of near future NASA.
Space. So space aesthetic.
It's space. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's hard to conceptualize the difference between an in-engine and cinematically tooled trailer when you're just showing a cinematic trailer in-engine. That would you're like, oh, it isn't that, but it looks exactly like we shot it exactly like it anyway, so you can't tell the difference. And it's just like, what? It's
I will say when they showed the close up of the man's face, I was like, yep. That looks like an engine. That looks like a video game. It was like, oh, that's kind of a grungy looking face.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there was concept art that came out for it, which looks honestly is
pretty
way
wild.
More intriguing.
Pretty wild, yeah.
Yeah. But again, I have no idea how that game is going to be. I don't know. I was expecting to get some answers, and the only one we got was that ladders. They're not happening.
No.
And they said it's like Skyrim in space, and I'm like, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Because you know what that means.
Well, are there multiple planets? Like, I don't know. I don't know what that means because Skyrim is just like a closed-in area that you walk around in, and dragons and giants fight each other, and you go into instance dungeons.
Yeah, you
walk, does that mean
you walk from planet to planet, and you talk to
spacewalk from planet to planet?
Yeah. A kid runs up to you as soon as you get to every planet, and they come through the gate, and they're like, "Oi, mister, you gotta..." And it's a whole thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
It zooms in on their face.
Yeah. Oi!
Would you like to buy this cheese wheel from me? And they're like, yes, I would.
But if you don't, somebody will shoot them with an arrow. Yeah, somebody will shoot them with an arrow then.
How far into the game do you think it takes in Starfield before they make a reference to arrow in the knee? I would say 4 minutes.
It's either going to be something off the cuff or a 15-minute side quest buried in the game, and I don't know which one I want less.
A 15-minute side quest is probably more likely.
Yeah,
right,
I don't know which one I want least. But I'll be playing it.
They also said in that interview something that makes me way less excited for it, which is they described it as like Indiana Jones in space, or quote a Han Solo simulator, and that to me means like a sort of a frivolity, a sort of just like goofiness to it that I hope isn't the case. Because
what do you want? You want misery?
No, I want Mass Effect austerity. I want
I know.
We are an alien. We like the alien technology is so instilled.
Like Mass Effect takes itself very seriously, but there's silliness all over Mass Effect, but like there's just like a vibe to Mass Effect where it's like it has that sort of 70s future space, like space is the final frontier. It's like we got to take it. Just wow, space. Instead, I don't want to be like, haha, I'm Han Solo in space. Yeah, let's go and fuck over here, aliens. Haha, woohoo, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Anytime you reference Star Wars as a thing for your new space thing, I'm immediately worried because fuck Star Wars.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed the tone of Bethesda game stuff. I like Fallout. I like the tone of Skyrim. They kind of tread that line between like some self-seriousness with like, you know, quips and ridiculous situations.
Yeah,
I
Skyrim is
tones.
definitely like much more self-serious with sort of goofiness around it. Whereas Fallout, I think, is maybe a little more goofy than it is serious. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, whatever. Those are just weird marketing interviews. So like, who knows? But
I don't think the game exists yet.
I know. The concept art, like I look at the concept art and I'm like, I could picture this in a Mass Effect tone and love it.
Yeah.
You're not getting that.
But I know.
You're not getting that.
I mean, it's whatever. Like, I have no love for Bethesda's games. I don't really care.
We'll be on
Skyrim
Game
was
Pass,
cool a decade ago.
I really feel like
it'll be $3, so who fucking cares?
I feel like it'll play like they're gonna go for like Uncharted feel or something. I don't know. It's gonna be wild.
Yeah, yep. I'm just sort of over that tone in games the like Uncharted cheekiness.
Yeah.
Like, except, you know, if they want to do more Uncharted, okay, you can keep doing that cheekiness. Ratchet is sort of in a similar vibe, but like it works so much. You know, you're playing little fucking alien furry rodent things with ridiculous guns. Like, I would like the line to be brought back a little bit. I don't want Naughty Dog, The Last of Us 2 misery, and I don't need like everything to be Han Solo, Uncharted, puckish rogue stuff. Like, just, you know, maybe dial it back a little bit, somewhere in between. I don't know.
You mean like the Outer Wilds? Do you want that?
The Outer Worlds, that is?
Outer Worlds. Fucking fuck, man.
They announced a sequel for it.
I don't want anything Outer Worlds.
Damn it, man. God damn those titles.
I don't want anything to do with the Outer Worlds, no.
Well,
okay, if the Outer Worlds was good and more interestingly written, yeah, the tone
I want to try it again just to make sure.
I'm remembering all of the tone of the Outer Worlds and how it was like, corporations, we're your best friend, wink wink. I don't want any of that.
No.
Their trailer sucked where they're like, we're gonna not show any gameplay and just show you a CGI logo. We're so clever and witty.
It's funny, dude. It's self-aware and meta. It's funny.
Yeah. You probably haven't watched Rick and Morty. It's kind of like that.
No, I'm too stupid for Rick and Morty. I know.
It's that's
not intellectual enough.
Anyway, I gotta. I don't know what Outer Worlds is anymore because I did play that game and I don't know. Maybe who was I then?
It was like Starfield, but without anything in it.
It was at least it was a video game though.
It's going to be on Game Pass. We'll all have a look at it, and then we'll see what happens, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, and I'll probably play the whole thing and hate it. You know. Starfield as well. It'll be 250 hours, and I'll be like, well, that sucked. But it was only $3, so
bang for your buck.
9 out of 10.
Nintendo.
We haven't talked about Halo yet, dude.
Oh my gosh! We're pushing it to the end of the Xbox. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, we should probably talk about Halo.
Oh man, I'm not. Listen, where to even start on how to feel about it because you're gonna play it anyway.
I think the sounds sum it up quite well.
Yeah, it is really tricky to quite articulate.
It seemed like the whole world really loved what they saw, which is good, because I want it to be successful. But I think, like I said previously, the Battlefield trailer kind of ruined it for me, and the weird marketing around the word infinite, instead of just calling it Halo 6, really... And also, like, the amount of time between Halo 5 and Infinite, I think I was just expecting a real transformation of the franchise, which would make sense because, like, the entire multiplayer infrastructure and world has changed with Battle Royale and what people like nowadays. So when they changed the name of the game and it takes so long, you start to kind of, deduce some things in your mind or expect some things, and what I didn't expect was it just to look like Halo 6. I kind of expected it to be Halo's comeback. And we're big Halo fans, so maybe that's why it didn't sit as well with us as it did with maybe more casual players of the franchise.
I think what's so fascinating and confusing is that I feel like we are the only people on planet Earth that feel this way about Halo Infinite. Everywhere I have looked, including the most hardcore Halo places and the casual places, everyone is like, wow, this looks incredible. Halo is back. And I'm just confused by that.
I mean, it is technically back.
Halo is back, you're right.
Yeah.
But so when I said Battlefield and Elden Ring have they feel exciting because the developers feel excited by it. Like, you can feel that energy in the Battlefield trailers, right? Halo, every time they've talked about Halo, every time they've shown it, everything about that game just feels like it's that people are fulfilling an obligation.
Right.
And I'm sure there are a lot of people really excited about Halo that are making Halo, but there's just something, I don't know what it is, but there's just something about all of the Infinite stuff where it's just like, yeah, so we're making another fucking Halo game with Master Chief and Cortana, and you walk around on small multiplayer maps, and there's equipment and rocket launchers and energy swords, and it's Halo. We've been doing this for 20 years. And that's just... Whereas, Battlefield 2042 doesn't look that different from Battlefield 4. But the trailers are like, motherfucker, Battlefield is back, baby. Doesn't it look awesome? And you're like, yeah, it does look awesome. Yeah. Whereas these trailers are just like, whatever,
like
here's Halo.
Yeah.
It is.
Hey guys,
is a good
we've got
word,
a Halo. Can you watch it? We'll just put it in the middle of the Microsoft show, like around here. Couple minutes long.
And I think Dawson is on the right path here when he was saying when we were talking over it that it is Microsoft is probably just trying to not lean on Halo as a crutch, and also and make it more clear that, like, hey, we bought Bethesda for $7.5 billion. We have more than just Halo now,
right?
But I also think it is and I think he's right in that, and I also think part of it is just like, we've spent probably $7 billion developing Halo Infinite over the last 6 years.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
And it was such a disaster last year. Like, let's just not make it a big deal.
Yeah.
And I agree. And I think that's a smart approach, but also it's really fucking weird because it's Halo and it is a big deal.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because it's Halo and it's Microsoft.
I think it's just in marketing, confidence matters, and people can smell it. You can sense it. You get like this, you can.
We can sense it, and apparently no one else can. I guess I don't know.
You get like secondhand excitement from the energy of certain trailers, and Halo is just like, here's some more Halo.
Yeah. The thing now that I'm glad that we didn't record this like the day of or 2 days after, and that there's been a week and a half sort of to mull things over a little bit, settle down on it. And I would say now that that's happened, like, I look at the Halo gameplay and I'm like, I have started to at least be able to imagine playing it and having fun and starting to look forward to it and be like, oh, right, I'm remembering now that, like, even though everyone on Earth seemed to fucking hate Halo 5 so much, it's bizarre. But, like, I'm remembering, oh yeah, Halo 5 feels great.
Feels really good.
Great.
Yeah.
It's super fun. And I'm like, oh yeah, right, Halo Infinite is probably going to be a pretty fun game. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh yeah, the sandbox changes look smart. They're dialing it back. This looks good. Okay. But I agree with you, Joe, where it's like everything about Halo Infinite just looks like it should have come out in 2018, 3 years after Halo 5, and they would have called it Halo 6.
Yeah.
And I think just if that had been the case, I would have been super excited about seeing these trailers like 4 years ago, but it's just the amount of time that's passed and that it's called Infinite. And you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, it's more Halo, I guess.
Halo Infinite, but I said Legacy 7 times in the last minute.
Right.
It's like we're trying to make it traditional.
And I also think people have forgotten what Halo 5 is like, and because all the talk is like, wow, it looks so awesome. It's like Halo 3 Infinite. It's like Halo 3 all over again. And I'm like, no.
Not really, no.
This looks a lot like Halo 5,
Yeah.
except you don't have the little thruster pack anymore. It seems like that's a piece of equipment you can pick up now. Like, do you remember when Halo 5 leaked and the so-called aim down sights mechanic of Halo 5 leaked, where you get like a 1.5x sort of
with the
HUD
assault
zoom
rifle.
on all your guns, on all the guns in Halo 5. And do you remember the vitriol with which that was received? It was wild. People were fucking furious. You know what is still in Halo Infinite? That same mechanic.
Yeah.
And no one gives a shit. And it's just weird. And look, hey, I'm happy that everyone on Earth except for the three of us are excited about Halo Infinite. That's great.
I'm excited. We are excited.
I'm excited just relatively as well.
But there is a lot of people who just really liked a lot of that, and it is really no different than any other. Like everyone's just proud it got there, y'all. We're all just it got there, guys. We got it to the finish line.
It just feels strange, and it feels like people have forgotten Halo 5, or just like people just hated Halo 5 and 343 for so long for not good. Like, Halo 5 is a very well-made game, and it's very fun to play, and Infinite But hey, look, I would much rather have them being excited about Infinite and happy and like kind to 343 versus the like decade of bullshit that 343 has gotten due to Halo 4 and 5. And also the campaign, I think the campaign is the bigger red flag for me still. Obviously the campaign is not the most important part of Halo, but I very much care about the Halo campaigns. I'm a fool that knows and is still sort of cares about Halo lore as well. And they've really not shown or said anything about that campaign, huh?
I mean, the whole showcase was a bit vague on all fronts. All we saw was like 4v4 arena stuff. Even Big Team was a bit vague.
Yeah. Big Team was just sort of there, and it's like, it's 12v12 now.
Is there going to be other modes? Can we see Forge in more detail? Is there going to be custom game browsers? Or,
I'm still very concerned about what's actually in there on day one in terms of the other key pillars of Halo, like Forge and Customs and Theater.
No way Forge and Theater in there day one. Like, there's just no way. There's no way.
I would be really impressed if the Forge is there on day one. I'm very doubtful for sure. And the Halo, the campaign cutscene they showed was just like, what? Huh?
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yep, there's a new
they never even released it. They never released it as its own trailer either, which is weird.
Yeah.
And like, I know like a lot of Halo terms. Like, I know like what mendicant bias is. And you show me these Halo Infinite trailers, and like, I played Halo Wars 2 to get the story. And you show me these Halo Infinite trailers, and I'm looking at them like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I have no idea what's happening. How is this a spiritual reboot when there's another Cortana there? It's like a new version of Cortana. I read up on that. You know where they covered that part of the lore? In a book that came out last year.
Did you read the books, you idiot?
Oh, you gotta read the books. Yeah, you pay for Game Pass, so you don't buy the games, so you have to buy the books.
This is like the biggest problem with Halo storytelling since 343 took over. Is like Halo 4 and 5, the stories are indecipherable because they you have to read like the 40 different books and graphic novels.
Yeah.
And I've been saying for years that the game desperately needs like a deep Mass Effect codex, and that might help. And I just get that so much from all of Halo Infinite's story stuff as well.
I hate to say it.
Yeah,
I don't give a shit about Halo.
I know.
I don't want a codex in Halo. I don't want a codex in Halo.
I agree. Halo should not need a codex. No. It's stupid that there are 36 Halo books that have been released over the last 15 years. Literally.
It's simple. Aliens bad, Flood worse, aliens good. It's not humans bad.
Yeah.
It's not complicated.
Yeah, like the Bungie Halo games, the storytelling, that there's a larger and deeper world and lore, but like, what happens in the video game.
Yeah.
And it's simple and it's anyways, the campaign doesn't actually matter that much. The story part of the campaign, but we still haven't seen.
We still don't
they
know
said that
anything.
game. They said the Infinite campaign is like twice as the size of the Halo 4 and 5 combined, and I'm like, where is it?
It's going to be releasing infinitely, so it's going to be a seasonal campaign.
They might have just been talking about file size.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, maybe. Eh?
Oh my lord. Yeah.
I hope they have ray tracing in the game at launch this time. They were originally not going to have it last year for launch.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Well,
Also,
full date night, yeah, I don't know.
No release date for Halo.
Yeah.
Yep. No.
Starfield got a release date.
2022.
For fall 2022. Yeah.
Oh.
That's also another part of it. I think if they had shown exactly that and just ended with a release date, that would have also changed the tone for me. It's starting to become. It seems like they are just waiting to know when Call of Duty is coming out. That sort of seems like what
maybe
is. But like, yeah, if there was one thing I would have bet my life on being at the Microsoft show, it was the release date for Halo Infinite, which was supposed to launch with their fucking console in November of 2020, and they delayed it by a year. And you're like, all right, it's been a year since we've seen this game. It's definitely going to get a release date. Nope.
I can't believe that game was supposed to be out in November.
Yeah.
Part of me still wishes it came out last year just to have seen the state of it. Yeah. The dark side of me just...
It would have been something.
It would have been wild, yeah.
I'm sure the Insider Beta will get a lot of good reception. We'll see how
that will be very interesting.
Yeah.
That also doesn't even have a date. They're like, later this summer.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yep.
I don't know. We'll see. I also just think 343's art design is just, I'm not like super into it.
There is something missing. There's just something missing.
You know what's missing for me? Purple.
Yeah?
Yeah?
All the vehicles are banished brute red now for some reason. Well, I know why. It's because they're part of the banished faction, which were introduced during Halo Wars 2 and the expansions. Where's my purple?
Yeah, where's my purple?
Ghost isn't purple anymore.
Yeah. Oh, really?
It's red. The Banshee is red.
Yep.
The color palette is a bit Call of Duty. It's just like very gray and green and
yeah. And like Halo has always had some maps that are like that. You know, the pit, turf, like these maps are they've definitely done some industrial sort of basic city environments in all their games. But there's also like weird, cool purple and silver alien shit everywhere. And
do you see like any Forerunner stuff except for the Valhalla Towers?
Yeah, that was it.
They're doing purple and stuff in Master Chief Collection right now. Like that's their season 7 is all about
that's
purple.
Halo. Halo's purple.
Yeah, purple and alien. It's all about the Covenant.
And silver.
Yeah, you'll see. It's pretty wild. But yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, we'll have to see more maps, I guess. Also, I wouldn't be surprised if the game ships with like the 4 maps we've seen.
Yeah.
And then they're like, we can't wait to communicate with our audience and find out what other maps they'd like.
We're gonna
map coming December.
50% more maps in season 2. Okay, so 4 becomes 6. Oh man, I'm sad.
We're gonna build the game together, guys.
Oh
together.
Man, we hear you.
Like I said it last year, all of their shit where they're like, we really want to work with the community to build our product, and I'm like, that is them bullshitting. For we don't know what the fuck we're doing. We don't know what's going to be done for launch. It's going to be light on content. And that was the feeling a year ago. And I 100% still feel like that's going to be the case this year. And I'm worried about that. I think people have been, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be wrong, but it feels like people have sort of been blindsided and are like, wow, Halo is so awesome. It's going to make a comeback. But then come launch, there's going to be 4 maps. And a campaign that probably doesn't have an ending, and Forge and custom games and theater are probably all not going to be there or not fully fleshed out. And if that's the case, they have majorly fucked up because it's taken 6 fucking years to make this video game.
That's a lot.
Yep.
But the thing is, we should have come out knowing these questions, the answers to these questions.
No, that's the thing.
Like it's E3,
the game is supposed to be out in like 4 months.
Yeah.
Do you know how many Halo games came out in a 6-year period? 2004 to 2010. Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo 3 ODST, and Halo Reach. In 6 years.
Jeez.
Yeah, but games were easier to make. That's
yeah.
kind of...
Sure,
has happened.
maybe a little bit. The art was easier to produce.
Mm-hmm.
Halo 3 shipped with like 15 maps and invented Forge and Theater mode. Like
It did, yeah.
And they've taken 6 years, and I mean, again, maybe we'll be wrong. Maybe it'll be loaded with fucking content, but
Jameson, that was Bungie. Like,
I know,
you gotta remember where
I know.
Competent game makers.
Not with Bungie anymore.
I hope I like Halo. I'm looking forward to playing it. I wish I was more excited.
Yes.
Well, we're excited. We're apprehensive.
We will be playing it regardless, and I can't wait to see how it feels.
I think it will be okay.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it will be fine. It'll be fine.
You know what would be way better, though, is Battlefield.
Yes, that seems like a safe bet.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, look, where was the Halo music? Like the Battlefield, the jung was like coming through in every trailer, and I was like, yes, give me that crunchy garbage music. And where's the hype Halo music? It was just like, oh, we're making Halo.
Joe Staten, hat in hand, like, remember Halo?
Joe Staten looks so tired. Like that Vidoc they put out the next day was amazing because every human that is in that 343 video, they look so tired. The bags under their poor eyes. These poor people.
Rough.
Oh, man.
They didn't even crack out the Halo drums. It's unbelievable. Where is the enthusiasm from these fucking people making Halo?
Yeah. But a trailer doesn't represent the game itself.
No, we certainly have learned that over the last few years, huh? And hopefully this means it's going in the opposite direction, where it's like the trailers aren't great, but the game is.
Yeah, game marketing continues to be just just a slippery fish that nobody can quite understand.
There's like a few studios that know how to make a trailer.
Yeah.
And they're incredible. And everyone else is either lying and should be like in prison for false advertising, or they're just like, oh, I don't know. Here's Halo. We've been working on it for 6 years and spent $800 million on it. I don't fucking know. It's the marquee title, the biggest thing we have in the last 7 years. It was supposed to launch with our whole console. I don't know. We don't know when it's out either. Bye.
Yeah. It was weird, man. It was
weird.
It was just that vibe. The vibe, the lack of detail, the tone. It was just odd.
Yeah.
The vibe continues to be questionable from Halo.
It does.
I worry. I am concerned.
Listen, we're like sniffer dogs for things that just don't feel right. That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
Yep. The vibe was
we're
bad
smelling
last
something.
year.
Something smells off.
This is the fourth E3 that Halo Infinite has appeared at.
Really? Jesus.
2018 was the first showing.
Gnarly.
Ooh.
4 years of Halo Infinite.
Yeah, something smells
Anyways,
off.
Games
Something
are hard.
smells
Yes, I agree.
Okay. So.
I think we have to wrap up soon, right, Ben?
We do. But.
Okay. Well, good news is Nintendo.
Oh, man, Nintendo. Like,
play the cricket noise.
What that? Like, oh, man. I feel like I watched a completely different show.
Than
a lot of folks did. People adored it.
So into that show,
People took it a lot, and which we've talked about how Nintendo has this ability to have something for everybody in an obscure way, and this was definitely a show that felt like that. Except they managed to do it without any Pokemon or Mario Kart or Donkey Kong.
I feel like
or
they had something
Mario.
for everyone except for me.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But
I also think we follow a lot of 40-year-olds on Twitter. That's I think part of it.
But like I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
As far as like remastered collections, I had nothing to take away from. Like Breath of the Wild 2 was hyped because it's Breath of the Wild 2, and like I don't know. Outside of that, I wasn't too remarkably struck by anything particular. Which
it didn't feel like they'd been gone for like a year straight.
No.
You mean like 3 years straight?
Yeah, and there was like a lot of whispers about obviously the Pro Switch, the Zelda 35th when they announced Skyward Sword. There was these whispers that don't worry, like that's just the appetizer. When E3 comes along, there's going to be I heard rumors of the DS one, Spirit Tracks and
Phantom Hourglass.
Yeah,
right.
People were like digging up these, I don't know what you call them, the copyright things, whatever, the product legislation, all that stuff. And yeah, I think there was just some like expectations for stuff like Mario Kart or Odyssey 2 or Mario at all outside of, playing golf and being in other products.
In a coffin buried in the ground.
Mm-hmm. Decapitated.
Yeah.
By Sephiroth.
That's where he is.
Yeah.
I mean, we got WarioWare. It's pretty cool.
I thought WarioWare, so I had never seen WarioWare. I just heard about it for, 10 years about how much people love it. And
WarioWare's
I
great,
thought
man.
I thought that trailer looked atrocious.
It's just like a bunch of like weird abstract mini games.
Yeah, they all look garbage. Like everything about it looked terrible. I thought.
But it's not like a visual feast.
No.
Like
I'm not even talking just visuals, but though I think the art styles were not. I was just like, what the fuck is it? Anyways,
that's WarioWare, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought. Yeah. I have my feelings about that WarioWare trailer are. It looks like they just made a WarioWare game for the sake of making one. I don't know. Like the other ones looked so inspired. The other ones looked so inspired. Yeah, and this one just looked like we did WarioWare again. Please pay $55.
Also,
it's
the pricing on everything is so fucked up.
And like, I don't want to not buy Metroid Dread because of that, but I won't be buying Metroid Dread because it's so expensive.
$100 Canadian dollars.
Yeah, like nothing. No disrespect to the game and the platform. Like,
no.
Say what you want about how the game looks, and I'm sure it's gonna be fine and everything. But like, it is disappointing to know that I can't get close to that game. I can't get anywhere near that game because it's gonna be a $1 billion for that. I just can't. No way. Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I'm not buying WarioWare.
No, I can't do it.
Yeah, I think Wario was like, I looked at, what was it, like $60 or something? $70 Canadian?
That's hard.
It's like, come on.
Nah.
No. I'll pay $100 for Ratchet Clank. But Metroid Dread?
Yeah, I just can't. It's so hard. It's so hard.
Who are their games for anymore? Like, no kid can afford any one of these games.
I don't know.
Man.
No, I do. It's for the 40-year-old people who know what Metroid is.
Yeah. They literally said Metroid 5, and I'm sure a lot of people I knew what it meant.
And I guess Metroid Dread was first name dropped like 15 years ago. Like I was 12, 15 years ago. Like, I don't know. I don't know what Metroid is. I've never played. I think I said it when we were watching it. It's just there have been so many Metroid likes that now when I see actual Metroid, I'm just like, oh, it's just it looks like another fucking random Steam game,
Yeah, that's been an interesting discourse I've seen come up about that game. Is like how does it eclipse what has been inspired by it and has improved upon its own formula? Ooh. Yeah, like how does it how is Metroid better than Hollow Knight? Is going to be a big question that comes out of Dread, I think. I'd be very interested to see how they handle that.
But yeah, there's really nothing coming out this year for Nintendo for me, and just like last year. Well, the only Nintendo related product that is exciting is from Ubisoft, and it's the Mario and Rabbids game, which I'm excited for. But like Nintendo itself, they have done nothing for me for when did Mario Odyssey come out? 4 years ago.
Yeah, Super Monkey Ball looked cool.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah, real talk.
I mean, that's coming out on everything, so great.
Yeah,
we can buy it on the PlayStation, Joe, for like $30 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Monkey Ball's a classic. It's great.
Yeah, Breath of the Wild 2. It looked cool, man. It looked cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
There was something about the trailer which I don't know. It's hard to describe. When you look at it, you're like, that looks cool, but why don't I feel that excited about it at the same time? You know what I mean? There's like something about the trailer which doesn't paint a picture of what I'm going to be doing in the game. And I don't think it showed the tools off enough where I'm like, ooh, my brain can start to experiment with the sandbox without even playing it.
Yeah.
It showed like a ball reversing in time, and then it showed Link like slurping
Becoming
through
water.
a surface. It's like, is time reversal the thing? Because that would be awesome. And if you made it clear that time reversal was like a gameplay concept, then I'd actually be pretty excited because I like time stuff, and a lot of people do. But I just kind of was a bit confused, and was like, okay, I like Breath of the Wild. That looked cool.
Yeah, I will never. There will be no Breath of the Wild trailer that will get me really excited.
You don't know that.
No, I do.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild, and I look back on it fondly, and I will play 2 and probably have a good time with it. But it's I don't have the fever that people have for Breath of the Wild. That's for sure. The trailer was there, and I was like, okay, that was neat. It took 2 years to get another 30-second teaser, though, and it's maybe going to be out next year. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It's just hard to get excited for stuff that's still so far away and nebulous.
Yeah, I feel just there's like an art form to reveals in trailers. And I don't know, there was just something about the Breath of the Wild 2 trailer which, it didn't miss the mark, it just didn't strike inspiration inside my mind. I wasn't like, I don't know. It just, I can't really explain it. I can't put a pin on it. It looks cool. I feel like I should be more excited, you know?
I feel like that's sort of the summary of this E3 in a lot of ways for me, is like, I feel like I should be more excited for the things that I expected to be, or like the heavy hitters.
Right.
I feel like didn't hit as heavy for me. But then these sort of, except for maybe that's not true. I don't know. Battlefield, Horizon, Elden Ring all look fucking awesome. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
I tell you, as soon as E3 started, it just went all downhill.
Yeah, pretty much. Really. Like, yeah. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
But I would say this year was good compared. I mean, obviously last year was, a disaster, and maybe it's just because I went in with like super low expectations. I didn't really even think E3 was going to have anything until like a week beforehand. And there's a lot of games coming out soon that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah,
and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
I was definitely pleased with this year over last year, because I was trying to be optimistic about last year, just with the I thought the sprinkling of announcements throughout the summer was actually going to be like good, and I tried to give it but we talked about it before on the Defend the podcast, but we just crumbs sprinkled throughout the months, and so this was it was nice to have a beefier week, and just like then you could extrapolate from it all, and like plan your holiday season accordingly with what you think you're gonna be interested in and stuff like that. I don't know, it felt like a return to form, and I am excited to see if things become more in person next year, or what next year even looks like. I hope so,
and I hope that like these shows start to merge together so that we have maybe like 3 instead of 30.
Yes. Yeah. It's like I'm looking forward to a Sony show. I would just like to know when that's going to be. Like just cut the crap.
I saw some rumors today saying July 8th, but who knows at this point. Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it was, it was all right.
It was fine.
I give E3 a big thumbs up.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh man, I love these games. I'm a big gamer.
Missing something?
I love these video games.
Did like Square Enix write him a check or something?
Oh yeah, Square
I'm
Enix.
here to kill chaos.
Fucking chaos. Wow, that show was amazing.
Did Square not say one thing that like was semi-interesting? No, they didn't. I don't think.
No.
Nothing about Final Fantasy VII remake.
No, really.
Or
nothing.
Showed Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, 16. Oof. They could have. I would have like. Yeah, okay, that was it.
16 is going to be at the Sony thing though. Like,
true.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy looks trash. I just gotta say it was the worst thing I've seen out of all the entire week. And Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance came out, and Guardians of the Galaxy was the worst thing I've seen.
Wow.
It does look
Shots
trash.
fired.
That game looks.
I'm really surprised that a major AAA quote unquote Marvel product looks so rough. It looks like it needs another year.
They took the live service aspect out and still kept making the video game, and it just looks Like, what are you?
They
what?
took the immersive sim Deus Ex team and said make a Marvel action game, and they were like, "Excuse me," and it shows.
That combat was at like 15 frames per second, and there was Star-Lord punching a giant Jello cube.
Yeah. Now, see, part of that sentence on paper sounds fun.
Mm-hmm.
But in execution...
In the context of Ratchet, it would have been good.
Oh, the Jello gun in Ratchet. Oh, they need that.
But, that looked
and then the saw blade gun could slice the Jello up.
Ooh. Oh.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah.
Anyways,
Ratchet. We got to get into
Clank.
game dev. Yeah, we got to get into game dev.
We should. Jesus.
But honestly, like, even before COVID happened, so much of E3 is just... It's just these companies fluffing up their shows with nothing. We've had E3s where it's been like the usual really formulated, nice, tidy schedules, and it's come out with like 2 games and we've watched for like 7 hours.
Yeah.
This year... it felt like we didn't really watch much, but at least we got information about games that people cared about. Stuff came out of the woodworks that had been hiding away for a long time. Yeah, and there was some new stuff that looked interesting. A lot of indies have gone on the list for me. I think all in all, obviously we've ripped some of it apart because we're assholes. Sorry, that's hard, but overall, post-COVID, I think it was pretty good.
I agree.
Pretty good.
Likewise.
And, it technically is still a bit of a mess when it comes to the schedule. It might not be over when it comes to, Sony's show, whatever EA are showing.
Yeah. And Microsoft had a really good show. It was the best show they've had in a maybe in a decade. Because
it really helps when all of their games are like a couple of dollars to play. It really helps.
Yeah. Well, and also they have their own. It's games from Microsoft this time, and that's just going to keep continuing, which is exciting. It's nice to have someone other than Sony making video games again.
Definitely.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have Nintendo back, but you can't win them all.
No, maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. Maybe 2023 though.
By next year we'll have Elden Ring, so everything will be okay.
That's true.
Yeah,
I can't believe we're getting Dying Light 2 and Elden Ring back to back.
In 3 weeks.
I can't believe Elden Ring is coming out
shit.
In general. Can't believe that's actually a real video game. Kind of crazy.
Yeah. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
Well, another year survived E3. Also, maybe tune into the next podcast in 3 weeks because there might be more stuff that have happened.
Listen to him.
I don't know.
Listen to him on the podcast.
Listen to them anyways.
Oh,
right.
yeah. Go back. It's if you played, we play games over there and stuff. And sometimes I don't know.
Well,
if you played
I don't know.
we've played games. It's there's 3 years of stuff to listen to. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
If you're desperate.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and inside every single podcast, we've actually cut in an audio clipping of a code, which when put into Amazon, gets you a PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
It's
so
true.
you have to listen to all of them, unfortunately.
The DTHPS5 ARG is available now through the end of the year. Make sure that you are participating and you find all the secret websites and the nooks and crannies, and that
no one's claimed it yet.
No one's claimed it yet. Only you can be the true winner. 657. What does that mean? I don't know. I had to go back and listen to the old episodes.
I'll listen to the rest of the episodes for this year.
Yeah.
The Halo Infinite 4-hour review in November will have the final part of the code.
4 hours each. 12 hours altogether. Listen to that one at 0.75 speed just to slow it
really
down.
stretch it out.
Yeah, when it comes to mine and Jameson's Roundup reviews, probably won't be another one for I'm looking at my release date schedule here.
Maybe the August, once August is over, we'll maybe do August, September, because September will have Deathloop.
I guess
oh my god, is that game coming out?
Maybe.
But there's no way I'm saving Psychonauts 2 months. We're going to talk about that stuff on the podcast. I guess Kenna's kind of big.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
We'll
but
figure.
yeah,
might be
I
a
would
while.
say that it might be a while. Obviously, when the holiday season starts, there will be quite a few of these. Games are coming back, and it's going to be great. But until then, like we've said 1,000 times, the best place to listen to more of this shit is on Defend the Podcast. We'll keep those coming. And apart from that, guys, have a good one. Thanks for talking.
You're welcome.
Have a good evening.
I will.
Until next time.
Bye, guys. Bye.